I want to bring in NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez to talk more about this. Hi, Raf.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Kim Jong Un, 13 years of age. The only child of Kim Jong Un's that we've actually seen in public. What do we know about her?
Not a lot, which is pretty shocking, given that the world's intelligence agencies focus so much time, so much attention on figuring out what is going on in North Korea. Here's what we do know. We think that she is about 13 years old, so born roughly 2012. And it feels ridiculous saying this. The first time we heard about her was from Dennis Rodman. Do you remember he went to North Korea back in 2013? He hung out with Kim Jong Un. And when he came out, he made this passing reference to holding a baby. And that was the first time we heard that Kim Jong Un and his wife had this child. And then it is basically another 9 years before we learn anything else. We see her for the very first time in November of 2022. We see her at the launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile that has the range to hit the United States. This is kind of like one of the crown jewels in North Korea's missile arsenal. And then over the last 6 months or so, we are seeing her all the time, again and again and again. The odds are pretty good if you see, Kim Jong Un on North Korean state TV that he will have his daughter at his side. What's interesting, Yasmin, so she's now 13, roughly. She is being dressed and her hair and her makeup is being done in a way that makes her look a lot older. And analysts will tell you that is kind of a deliberate effort by the North Koreans to show that, this is not a child. This is a young woman who is now in training, learning from her father, potentially to take the reins of state at some point.
So, Raf, do we know if she is the oldest of his children? Because I know that intelligence services suggest that he has 3 kids.
So, yeah, we do think he has 3 kids, and it seems possible that she actually may not be the eldest. There is some reason to believe that he may have an elder son. And if he does, that raises the kind of really intriguing question, why would that oldest son not be the heir apparent? Stressing that there's so much we don't know about the Kim family, but when you ask analysts, they give you a couple of possibilities. One is it may just be that this young girl, 13 years old, has somehow managed to already exhibit the traits that the North Korean leadership thinks a future leader should have. So maybe this 13-year-old is just showing that ruthlessness, that steeliness to run the country. Another possibility is it may be that Kim feels that she is not a threat to him. She's young, she's a woman, she's unlikely to be able to kind of develop her own power base inside of the North Korean regime. And so it may be that he wants to demonstrate to the country and to the world that a successor is lined up, but he doesn't want that successor to kind of outshine him, if you will.
We had somewhat of a similar conversation when we saw Kim Jong Un's sister make a lot of public appearances. Is there anything to the fact that as his sister has kind of rose in the ranks, it may be an indication as to why he has chosen his daughter, it seems, as a successor?
Well, at minimum, the high profile of his sister, her name is Kim Yo-jong, shows that you can have women in senior positions inside of the North Korean regime. There has never been a female leader of North Korea, but Kim Yo-jong, his sister, is very, very prominent. She often goes on North Korean state TV and she delivers the kind of hardest line screeds against the United States, against South Korea. So again, the fact that there is at least one woman in a prominent position makes you think, well, why couldn't there be a female leader one day?
Raf Sanchez, as always, my friend. It is a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.